and enter your question under the live feed.
Guys, just watch what's happening. See, watch the elephants, watch the lions. See, the first ones to run are the cubs. Can you see them? They are right here. I'm not sure how scared you were, but I was quite nervous. But absolutely incredible.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hi, I'm Mike Anderson, and I come to you live every day from Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy in South Africa. The wild animal I think is most underrated. I think buffaloes are the most underrated. They're so tenacious and ferocious, and also very, very protective of each other, which I find incredible. You know, sometimes people think of the big five, they just think of lions and leopards and other big animals, but I think buffaloes are pretty underrated.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. Leopards, you name it, we can find it, and that's exactly what we're going to do this afternoon. So jump on board, everyone, for your live safari through the African bush. Beautiful, beautiful. Now there's a bit of sun peeking through, but I love it during the day when the sun is suddenly covered up by these ominous dark clouds, and who knows what could happen. I think if I've been feeling a little bit dry, it would be nice to have a bit of rain. I think we've been spoiled with the sunshine. Hi everyone, it's me, Trishana, and I've got Paul on camera with us this afternoon. Lots of things to follow up on from this morning. Thandi and Kuchava, as well as the wild dogs. So lots and lots of things to follow up on. There's also that drag mark that Tristan found on Gari Main. That most definitely belonged to a leopard with a kill. Very likely Tlalamba. So lots of action. Definitely. And yesterday evening, as the sun started to pull away from us and the evening creeped in, we saw lots of those nocturnal creatures. So I'm hoping for the same this evening. So I'm feeling excited and hope that you are too. This, of course, being your live safari. Do use that hashtag WildEarth or @FC on the YouTube chat stream, or go up to our website and you can sign up there and use our question box under the live safari tab. Also, our wonderful kiddies, use kids questions at wildearth.tv. Email us and ask us anything that you like, safari related at least. All right, well, no time to waste. I've got to head all the way to Chitwa. So we got to get going. So at Chitwa, who we're hoping to find is Thandi Marib's, which is her cub, if you have forgotten, and Kuchava. Maybe even Kuchava's cub. That would be great. Imagine if all four of them are together. When you say those words, imagine if out in the bush, it's just too much. The amount of things you can imagine is ridiculous. The amount of scenarios you can create in your head about what you could find sometimes become a bit of an overload. This is quite a pretty scene. We have impala here, but not just impala. We have some Ngala as well. Nothing like a few female Ngala to see out here in quarantine too. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, the weather this afternoon for us in Djuma is about 27 degrees Celsius, 81 degrees Fahrenheit, cloudy, a bit unpredictable, but we'll see how we go. How about I send you over to have a look at what our weather is like at our other locations.
Well, it seems like we're in for a bit of rain across the sort of eastern side of South Africa. Hopefully it will stay away for the course of our afternoon drive. As you can see, we've got a bit of a roadblock. There's a couple of ellies that are just sliding over the road and into the Mulawati thickets. My name's Tristan. On camera, I've got Davi. And, well, we are slowly going to be bumbling southwards. We'll try and see if we can get a last view of these ellies before they disappear into the drainage line. Is a beautiful big cow that's leading them along the way. She's a massive individual, quite big for a female, but they're slowly just feeding their way down towards the Mulawati itself. But essentially where we're heading is to try and get retribution in our tracking from this morning. So this morning we tracked a big drag mark with a female leopard track, and we suspected that it was a big adult impala carcass or something of that size. But where we tracked it to, there was no way to get a visual. We tried from every angle, so thick and so dense. But I'm going to go back now in the hope that that leopard has somehow moved it a little bit closer to a tree, and maybe we can find which leopard it is and figure it out. I suspect that it's Tlalamba, but it could also be Sibui or Langa. There's a very outside chance of Shadulu or Kupona as well, potentially being in that area. I doubt either of those two, but it would be a possibility, put it that way. So we'll just watch these ellies for now, because like I say, unfortunately they are going to go into the Mulawati, way too wet off-road in there. We're not going to be able to kind of get too much of them as they kind of disappear. It's part and parcel of the way things go. There's an ellie coming down the road, David, instead. That's much better. I don't have to worry about poor visuals in the long, thick grass and bushes. Heather, I couldn't agree more. Starting an afternoon safari with elephants is a wonderful way to start. Ellies are one of my favorite animals, and I do thoroughly enjoy spending time with them. And recently I haven't spent a lot of time with them, not because I haven't wanted to, but it's just fleeting glimpses of them. They typically are animals that don't always stay on roads. So a lot of our really nice sightings are often where we off-road a little bit and kind of keep up with them and follow them through the course of their sort of afternoon feeding or morning feeding. But, you know, or at a dam when it's hot and dry and they come and they swim. At the moment, though, most of what we're seeing is just them kind of briefly coming through and over roads. So we're not getting as many long sightings with ellies, but it's the perfect way to start. You can see that they've been having much fun wherever they've come from. They've been throwing mud all over themselves. I suspect that this is from a little pan system just to the south of us. That's on the border of, well, on the edge of the Mulawati riverbed. There's a nice little pan there that will be probably quite good for a good mud wallow for an elephant herd of this size. You always find there'll be one youngster bringing up the rear. Young cows and bulls often are the last ones in the herd as they go along. Alright, that ellie has now disappeared, so we're going to disappear ourselves down Twin Dams Road and see what's happening. We're actually going to just check if Twin Dams is even drivable. It's been closed for quite some time, but we've had a bit of sunshine, and so I just want to check, and if it's a bit wet, we might turn around and go back and try and find a different way. I think Trish is going to probably be heading down Weaver's Nest, so hopefully Twin Dams will be okay. I've got a very irritating rattle on Rusty after this morning's wild dog chaos. So hopefully that'll disappear through the course of the drive. It's the little brake cover that's rattling, and I absolutely hate when a car rattles on a game drive. It's one of my pet peeves. So hopefully we can sort that out, or it just sorts itself out. I suspect that it won't sort itself out, and I'll have to take the wheel off when we get home this evening. Just bend the plate back again. Now, sorry, David, you're going to have to repeat for me. My comms are horrendous. I heard Erlene, I think. Yeah. Sorry, Elton, I honestly can't hear anything. It sounds like Elton has submerged himself in a submarine, which means that there's water in my earpiece, which happens when we've had wet weather around. And I can't hear anything whatsoever, so I'll have to try and fix that. Kirsty, looks like the weather is quite breezy. Well, it's not actually that. I suppose there is a bit of a wind blowing now that I look at it. I haven't really noticed. There's a bit of a sort of movement in the trees and leaves and grasses. But it's not windy as it has been. You know, last week was crazy windy. Today is just a slight little gentle breeze. And what's nice is there were some big heavy clouds at one point, but they all seem to have kind of separated, and we're getting a bit of sunshine now, which is good to see. So hopefully we're going to have a nice afternoon. We're not going to get any rain, and the rain will only come later. I know in Johannesburg, which is to our southwest, it's been raining apparently all day. So they, have a lot, and maybe the cyclonic activity that's off of the Mozambique Channel is affecting them more than us this time. And I hope that it stays that way. We've had a fair amount of rain. It's really not necessary for us to get any more. I think we've had our fair share at this stage. Maybe, we can have one last storm, but in a few weeks' time when things are at least a little drier than what they are currently. Well, so far, Twin Dams Road's looking good. I'm impressed. It's actually dried quite nicely over the course of the last few days. You can see an elephant's been busy here, though. Sorry, David. Find a lot of trees over when we've had severe winds like we've had, and lots of ellies with all the marulas around. There's lots of trees that have been pushed over the soil so soft that the roots just lift up. All right, I think we're going to send you across to Trishala. I'm pretty sure that's what I heard while I try and sort out my earpiece.
I'm so glad that Tristan is on Twin Dams, or at least near it, so he can tell us how bad it is, and he says it's not bad at all, or better than we expected. So it means, hopefully, that they'll open it up properly in the next few days. So I guess it also depends on if it rains. Hold on, everyone. Got some mud on me. That's part of the fun, I think. In fact, it's the only reason I drive out here is to get some mud on myself, or hello elephant, or to splash in puddles, because that is great. You're gonna run away from us? And you just position like this. There we go. Now, this bull looks like the one I've seen in the pictures of the one that came into camp. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just pointing out that there is a similarity in the appearance of this elephant and the one that came through and trashed camp. Trashed is a strong word. Pushed over the fence, pushed over the light, ate the marullas, pushed over other fences as well. Wooden fences, steel mesh fences. Just saying. Gwendolyn, you'd like to know if there's elephants all over Djuma or just in certain places? They're all over Djuma. They have the freedom to move between here and Zimbabwe or Mozambique if they'd like. They move from the Kruger into the Sabi sands, from the Sabi sands into the Kruger. So they can move wherever they like, and there's no designated areas for them. So that's why they're able to go through camps and things like that. Mostly around camps we have elephant fences, which are these really tall fences that other animals are able to pass under. But more often than not, they find a way to get in. I've once had an elephant eating outside of my room. Hey, boy. And I woke up to the sound. Almost sounded like it was in my ear, because it was right outside my door. Doing the same thing, peacefully just standing there, but crunching and pulling leaves and grass. It was actually eating this plant that was planted outside. So we have indigenous plants planted around our camp. And that elephant that got in thought, wow, this plant is untouched by my friends, other elephant friends, so I'm just going to have a go at it. It certainly did. It's an interesting noise to try to get to sleep to. Daisy, hello, you're 6 years old. You have a very important question. In fact, this might be the most important question in the whole drive, because I love it. You would like to know if it's possible to have an elephant as a friend. It is very possible. Daisy, you can have all the animals in the whole world as your friend. Because, you know, Daisy, sometimes you don't have to see your friends, like your friends that are in your neighborhood or that you may go to school with. You don't have to see them all the time for them to be your friends, do you? You don't even have to touch them for them to be your friends. You don't have to speak to them all the time. You don't have to see them. And it's the same with elephants. You don't need to touch them. You don't need to see them all the time. But that doesn't mean that they can't be your friends. Just by sitting and appreciating them and watching them and smiling with them, they become your friends. Daisy, even up to now, I think that all the animals out here are my friends. I even call them my friends. Because there's nothing that stops me from being any animal's friend. And I don't need to touch any animal. I don't need to interfere with any animal for them to be my friend. And I love them all so much. And I think that's enough to make them my friend. So in fact, Daisy, you can take this elephant. This elephant can be your first elephant friend, if you like. There's some places you can go to where elephants have been orphaned and they're taken care of by different trusts and welfare organizations. And they can often form bonds or friendships with humans where they do allow humans to touch them and play with them in the usual way. But it's definitely not necessary to call something your friend. You can call any of these fantastic animals your friend. I think this elephant is even a little shy at Daisy's question. I think he wants to be your friend. Well, we're going to keep on moving. Remember, we've got to get all that way to Chitwa.
Just look at that. It is absolutely incredible. And as far as I can see, that all falls within the reserve. So it is a vast landscape, but we are gifted with these incredible things. You know, the wildcats, the aardvark, you name it. It just keeps on delivering. It's just such an incredible privilege to be out here.
And when you think it could not get better, Mother Nature says, hold on tight.
Oh my word, that is gorgeous. We are cooking on gas this afternoon.
Have a look at what we've got. Look at how this is the best day of my gutting career so far.
We have a baby pangolin, We're just gonna go very quietly, There's your aardvark. And for those of you who've never seen one, this is one of the big safari specials on any reserve.
I'm just holding my cap because otherwise it's going to blow away, and with this storm coming towards us.
Absolutely beautiful to be able to see water flowing in this volume in the Kalahari. Oh, look at that. You can see the structural component of these flowers. It is perfect. Such a treat to be in and amongst these incredible insects. How lucky are we? You can see how close they are to the vehicle. Very curious.
Oh, you can do it! There we go. We made it over. Whew. But look at that view. That's absolutely stunning.
You can see how they're going into stalking mode. Okay, there we go. This one female is going to walk straight past the car now. Absolutely stunning. Look at that. I mean, do we just not have the best jobs in the world? That was epic. Good afternoon, everyone. It is a beautiful afternoon here at Tswalu Kalahari. And look at what we've found. So those cubs that we found this morning that was climbing in the trees and playing and so on all by themselves, the moms just came to get them. As we rocked up onto the Waterhole. By the way, guys, my name is Moritz. Behind the camera, we've got Morgan. So as we came onto the Waterhole, we saw the tracks coming over our tracks from this morning, and we actually started following it, and they made life pretty easy. They walked on the road the whole time, so that made it so much easier to just pick up on them, and they were also not far away. So hopefully these females made a kill. They came to get the cubs now to come and join them on the kill. We'll have to see, but it's always exciting to see when they are moving the cubs. Let me just get a second here. To see when they come and collect the cubs where they're going to lead them to. But yeah, stunning way to start the afternoon. We'll definitely go back to where those small cubs were as well. This guy has got something in his mouth now. We'll see now when we get a little closer. But yeah, it looks like a bird, hey? But yeah, always great to have them. So Christine, this is the Southern Pride. It's very difficult for us to put the Northern Pride on screen, just because they typically hang out in an area where it's behind the mountains and we can't really get signal for the tower to broadcast over there. So normally when we do find the lions, if it is the Pride, it is going to be the Southern Pride. We are very happy that the Northern Pride also now has cubs, very small cubs. Their first female gave birth, so hopefully the rest of the females will also do the same soon. But yeah, this is the Southern Pride. The leading huntress, or the leading female, is the one walking there on the right-hand side, and then the one that has the largest cubs at the moment is the one walking on the left. And then we saw the other female of the Southern Pride with the small cubs this morning. So she's not with them currently, but that's perfectly normal because the cubs are still so small. So yeah, this is the Southern Pride that we're looking at right now. 8 members of the Southern Pride. There's that one. I think he caught maybe a baby helmeted guinea fowl or so. We'll have a look now and see. Get out of I love cubs. They're just the best. Here's the one with I'll have a look now. We'll see now what he's got in his mouth. Could also just be a piece of, they sometimes pick up like droppings of buffalo or those types of things just because of the fun of it, or even a piece of branch or so. And we'll see now. I hope that he comes onto the road again. The grass is so long it's difficult to see what he's got in his mouth when he's not on the road. Come now, boy. Ugh, he's being difficult. Let me see if I can see with the binoculars. It is actually a clump of dung. Looks like blue wildebeest or so, guys. But well, looks like it. Most of it is in his mouth now, so maybe when he puts it down, we'll get a better look. But luckily, we're not going anywhere, so we are going to figure out what he's got in his mouth at some point. I love how this little guy is keeping an eye on us. Yeah, guys, it's always special to see not only lions, but also the cubs with the females. It's always special to see that. You can see the moms are paying close attention to whatever. Their bellies are not full, so they might not have hunted yet. There's a very good possibility that they might have come to collect their cubs to go to another area to try and hunt now. So hopefully we'll get lucky and we'll even see a hunt happening. That would be amazing. Where they are going right now is to a waterhole, that waterhole where we saw the eland this morning. So typically during the late afternoon, there's quite a bit of game coming in there, so the opportunities is definitely going to present itself. The wind is also perfect. It's blowing straight into their faces, so it makes sense for them to be moving in this direction if they are still looking to hunt. But like I said, there's always a good possibility that they... That was a good tackle. There's always a good possibility that they've already made a kill and they just decided, you know what, before we start feeding, we're going to come and get the cubs first to share in the meal with us. As you can imagine, with these cubs growing a mile a minute at the moment, feeding for them is quite important, and they eat a lot. So with that being the case, the mom's job's got a little bit more difficult when it comes to when it involves hunting. They are going to have to produce on a more regular basis than what they usually do. That's cool. But even if they just get to the waterhole, that would be great. Because having lions by the water is always exciting. I love it. To see how they interact around the water, chase around the birds, and potentially set up a hunting opportunity. But both females looking in great condition still as well. Just see tails popping up and down. Hello, boy. Very curious about what this ugly thing is following them. Yeah, guys, it's always great to see the different personalities of the animals as well. You know, even amongst the prides, the southern pride much more relaxed, whereas the northern pride much more skittish of the vehicles, and that's just because we see them less. But yeah, we're gonna see where they're going. In the meantime, we're gonna send you over to Kim at Phinda.
Afternoon, everybody, and welcome to
I am sure we're going to be back in Phinda in no time, but for now we're approaching the southern boundary of Djuma. Oh, I thought my lilac-breasted robin was going to land for us. And no, it is long gone. So yes, approaching the southern boundary of Djuma, and you know we take an easterly direction from there to get to Chitwa. Passing lots of puddles along the way. A lot of the stagnant water around has just created the worst mosquito influx I think I've ever experienced in Djuma. I've got red bites all over me. Even Tristan said he got smashed last night by mosquitoes. I'm still scratching them as we speak. Okay. seems that Phinda is finally back in action. Let's go say hello to Tim.
Okay, welcome back. I think I was just introducing myself and Simon on camera. But yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on this guy. He's kind of walking quite determinedly towards us. So I don't want to upset him by getting in his way. So we're just going to keep moving out of his way so that he has no reason to be upset with us. But he looks pretty chilled for the time being. He's just, you can see he's just kind of taking a few steps, having a little bit to eat, taking a few steps again. Not showing any real aggressive signs. Those kind of signs would be shaking his head, maybe walking a little bit faster towards us. So he seems just happy that if we just keep our distance, then he's quite chilled with us. Using his foot to pull up those few twigs and leaves that he just chomped. Beautiful bull. Actually hear him chewing on those twigs. Hear it all breaking. Max, when they're very young, or when they're quite young, like in their teens, then they are chased away from the herd because they become quite boisterous and they're not responsible enough to realize that they need to be careful around the younger elephants, the younger calves. So the mothers, the cows, will actually chase those young bulls out of the herd, and then they'll form bachelor herds, or they'll just go off by themselves. Just going to carry on moving back. But when they get to this age, when they're a little bit more old, a little bit more responsible, then they don't really get chased away from the herd. They join up with the herd when they are in Musth sometimes, if they want to start mating. This guy doesn't seem like he's in Musth though, so he might just be joining up with the herd for company. And also just because this area that we're in at the moment is very, very good grazing and browsing for the elephants. There's been so much rain, as most of our viewers will know. There's been a lot of rain, and so the grass, like you can see in the background, is so lush and thick. So that's why all the elephants are in this area. And that's probably why all the bulls are also in this area. They're just happy to all share this delicious green new grass. And yeah, earlier I mentioned that there are elephant herds all around us, so I'm just going to look around to make sure that we aren't reversing into someone else who's less obliging than this guy over here. But you can see he's really not very bothered by us. For now, anyways. We are reversing towards a group behind us. So I might swing, well actually let's just, yeah, I'm actually going to swing and we'll try and get a look at those other ones. Jenna, they're on their feet for a lot of the time. Sometimes you'll even come across elephants sleeping on their feet, but elephants do sometimes lie down, and often when they're sleeping on their feet they're leaning against like an anthill or maybe a big tree, but they do sometimes lie down to sleep. Not often, but it does happen. Okay, there's some up ahead there. Just going to keep an eye on the bull who's behind us. Oh, he's not moving off the road, but... But you have to look out for, and around us at the moment it's just bulls. There's a young bull also to our left here. He might be just about to go behind a bush. Yeah, but we are very much in right in amongst the elephants. Okay, I think we might go. We saw one herd a little way down the valley. It looked like it was around a mud wallow, and they looked like they might have been drinking and stuff. So I think we're going to head down there.
Good afternoon and welcome to andBeyond Ngala, where this afternoon we are looking at two tawny eagles high up in a tree. And they, I'm sure, are looking at the remains of some poor dead animal. Now, I'm sure it is a male and female, and more than likely a nesting pair somewhere nearby. But with tawny eagles it's extremely difficult to tell the difference, especially if they are this closely resembling each other in their molt. Now, underneath that big tree that they're in, this morning there were two lionesses as well as 3 cubs. Now, what we suspect is that they have made a kill somewhere during the day, and these eagles are waiting to get some of the pieces to scavenge, or maybe they already have. I can't see their crop from where they are, but we'll have a look in a moment. I'm Yapi, and behind the camera we've got Owen. And we came here first this afternoon because of the 2 lionesses. We suspect that one have recently given birth, and we want to go and see if we get lucky, and if she starts moving, maybe follow her to try and see where she's denning, or at least get an idea of the area. However, it would be nice to get a view of the little ones as well, and in a moment we'll maybe loop around and try and see from a different angle, but it's always good to see tawny eagles. And we haven't noticed any other scavengers. Haven't seen hyena, haven't seen any jackals. I know that there are some jackals in this area that we see often. And I also haven't seen a bataleur nearby. And you often hear people refer to the bataleur as one of the first scavengers on the scene. But at least on Ngala, I've noticed that the tawny eagles often beat them to it. You can see the eagle down below on the right. They can perch into trees, and I've even found them occasionally busy feeding off the kills of leopards that's been abandoned, or while the leopard is gone. You can see some little birds approaching. From where I am, I can't see exactly what they are, but it would be interesting to see whether they might go and bother those eagles or mob them. And the fact that the eagles are up in the tree gives me the suspicion that the lionesses are still around. than that, it looks so peaceful. There's a slight breeze going. I think I saw an impala move not too far from where we are a few moments ago. You might also, judging from the fact that the one eagle sitting out on the one branch, out in the open, there's a little bit of sunlight coming through the clouds now, where earlier today it was very cloudy. It might also be that the eagle's just trying to sun itself. Now this area, this is a very busy area normally, and you find a lot of general game here. There's a clearing with shorter grasses, sweet grasses, so we often have decent size herds of wildebeest, and normally a lot of impalas, and on occasion zebra as well. And then the Timbavati riverbed is also not far from this particular area. So a lot of game movement coming through. And then there's, of course, a lot of tall trees, like the one that these eagles are sitting in, which means that it is the perfect spot for them to have a territory or even have their nesting site nearby. Velapi, eagle's territory, kind of like a lot of other predatory species, is usually proportional to the amount or the availability of food within the area. So in a wilderness area like this, where there's a lot of food and the system's quite natural, you find that it's not that big. How big exactly? I'm actually not sure with tawny eagles. And that's something that I'm going to have to find out. But it would be quite a few hectares, at least. You can see way up at the top there, the breeze is a little bit stronger, and you can see the eagle on the left is trying to keep its balance there. But while they sit at the top and look for something, I think we might continue to actually look and see if we can get a view of the lions.
Imagine having your own secluded African bush home where you and your friends can enjoy the ultimate safari experience. If you sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, this could become a reality. Tumbeta House is located in the heart of Djuma Private Game Reserve, the home of WildEarth. You could win a chance to stay at this intimate wilderness retreat, offering you the rare and highly sought-after privilege of your own home in the bush. The prize includes 3 nights for 6 people and includes daily game drives, a chance to see the WildEarth camp, and have dinner with one of our guides. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer before the end of February 2021, and you could be heading to Djuma, the place that we call home. Available dates are limited, so terms and conditions apply.
Being a safari driver requires some serious multitasking ability. You've got to be able to talk, Look at the road, steer, and occasionally get the vehicle into the right gear.
Do not crash into any trees.
Oh, that's a dozy.
Just jump into the car and hope for the best, and you'll see where it takes you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm surprised they're moving as fast as that didn't go well. Who is the best driver? Well, me, of course, although some of the cam ops might disagree. Hi, my name is Tristan Dix, and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for WildEarth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on WildEarth.
We have a baby pangolin, a baby pangolin. This is off the charts. This animal is about from your fingertips to your elbow. That's the total length of this animal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is like now my 4th Christmas in a week. We should do this more often.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Alright guys, so I'm pretty sure that they haven't killed anything yet. We just had them being very interested in a male oryx, but unfortunately the oryx saw them and moved away, so they gave up. It doesn't make sense for them to spend unnecessary energy if this hunt is not going to be close to successful even. So they're now continuing down the road down towards that waterhole that I was talking about earlier, which I think will present more opportunities than where they are right now. But yeah, exciting times that we know now that they are still looking to hunt, because that means we might get a little bit more action from the females this afternoon. Would be interesting to see how the cubs handle it, being by themselves for most of the day, whether they're going to be obedient and listen to the mothers and stay where they need to be. Fred, so we see the lionesses more than the male lions just because the male lions are often out patrolling their territory, so they're by themselves. And as you can imagine, I'll slow down a little bit quickly and we can have a look at the road and see how easy it is or will be to follow these lions with their tracks, because they just make a lot more. And spotting 8 lions like we're looking at right now is a lot easier than to spot one male lion that's maybe lying underneath a bush somewhere. So yeah, they are often not with the females, and because of that, we see the females just a little bit more often. Just purely because the males are out, doing what they should do, or what they're supposed to do. However, you get times in the bush where you're just lucky and you bump into male lions more regularly than you bump into female lions, or not bump into them, you find them more regularly. When we come through to come and look for the lions, the first set of fresh tracks that we find is typically the ones that we follow, unless we are aiming for a specific, set of lions. If there's, let's say, that female with the small cubs from this morning, and we decide we specifically want to go for them, then that's going to be what we go and follow up on, even though we find the other male lion tracks crossing over the road or on the road or so on. So it's just because there's more of them, you get to follow the tracks more easily, as well as you spot them a little easier. Typically the females also have a smaller area of operation, so it's easier to locate specific individuals within the female territories than it would be with male territories, because they have larger territories to see that they can have more prides of females in their territory. So let's say the males are not, they are not with the southern pride at the moment, so that's why we don't see them currently, because they might be up in the northern pride's territory, even though that comprises their territory as well. So for them it's always a a case of how many females they can have or female prides they can have in their territory, and because of that their territories are larger, which causes them to not be in the specific area where we're looking for lions at that time. So yeah, females a little bit more easy to locate just because of the smaller territory, and like I said, they're always together, or most of the time together, or more than one lion is together. And because of that, you then just spot them a little easier. But yeah, as you can see, they've gone off the road now. It seems like they smelt something again. So we'll just give it some time. I just don't want to drive into the bush. As you can imagine, this thing makes a lot of noise and draws a lot of attention, so we don't want to mess up the chances. So the cubs will start hunting for them, well, exclusively for themselves, probably around 3.5 years of age. They will start helping in the hunts, the females, from around 2 to 2.5 years. Let's say 18 months for the ones that develop a little earlier or that shows a lot of promise, and then the young boys, they typically do so a little later. They tend to be a little bit more lazy. But yeah, to operate exclusively by themselves and hunt for themselves and fend for themselves, normally around 3.5 years, sometimes even up to 4, before they'll really be efficient in taking care of themselves. For young boys that get pushed out of their pride, let's go a little forward. For young boys that get pushed out of their pride, you'll find that that initial stage is quite a daunting stage for them, because they need to now all of a sudden fend for themselves. So you find them scavenging a lot more. But yeah, guys, we're going to quickly have a look and see what's going on here. If we see they go into hunting mode, we're definitely going to come back. But for the meantime, we're going to send you over to Phinda with the elephants, okay?
Right, welcome back. Sorry, just missed them drinking. They were literally just taken about 4 steps away from this. Oh dear, there's an elephant behind us. Okay, no, he's looking like he might go around us. Okay. Sorry, I just need to keep an eye on this elephant behind us. He's big, musty bull. So I just want to keep my eyes on him and see how he might actually go drink. Well, he's actually, yeah, he is in Musth, but not heavily. So I'm just looking at him between his back legs, and he does have a little bit of dampness between, or on the, yeah, no, he is actually, he's dribbling quite heavily out of his penis, which is a sure sign that he's in Musth. But he doesn't seem too upset with us. We were in his path and he's just happily gone round. Maybe he's going to go and drink like what those other two were doing. Maybe that's what made them left. Maybe they saw this guy coming and thought, okay, right, time to get out of the way. He's beautiful though. See how thick those tusks are and how massive his head is. And even just see how big he is in comparison to the other two that have just left this spot. Is he gonna drink? Might not be quite on his agenda though. Often when elephant bulls are in Musth, they don't really care too much about drinking or feeding. They're just interested in one thing only. As yep, he's gone just straight past the water pan. Was that how many types of elephants that we have here? We only have one type of elephant. It's the African elephant. Yeah, that's the only one we get here. There is another type of elephant that you get up in Central Africa called the forest elephant, and it's quite a bit smaller than these guys down here. And then there's the Asian elephant. As far as I know, those are the only 3 species. I may be wrong, those are the ones I know about. But yeah, these guys are quite a bit bigger than the forest elephant, but the only ones that we get down here at Phinda, well, in southern Africa. You can see them all starting to kind of head off down the hill there. I think in a little moment. We'll just watch him move across the hill. Quite a pretty sight. and then when he heads off. But you can see the way he's behaving, like throwing his trunk up over his tusks, flapping his ears quite weirdly. Instead of pushing them out at the same time, he's kind of pushing one forward and then the other one forward. Just a little bit agitated, not walking nice and slowly either. He's kind of jarring his head and stepping with a bit of attitude. We had a question a little bit earlier about whether or not they'll get chased out of the herd, and there does sometimes get a little bit of, you can see there's two running over there, so there becomes a bit of tension when there's an elephant bull and Musth, just because they are quite grumpy, and they do cause a bit of a stir. The elephant bulls running away, trying to look after the elephant cows running away, trying to look after their calves, trying to stay out of his way. He's obviously a lot bigger than most of the cows and isn't caring too much about the calves. Because like I said earlier, he's just got one thing on his mind, and that one thing is reproduction. But you can see he's walking through there and no one's really paying him too much attention. I mean, they are kind of moving out of his way, but they're not running and trumpeting, as they do sometimes. All right, I think what we're going to do is we're going to try and head down the hill, maybe try and get in front of them and see if we can look up the hill at them. But for now, we're going to send you over to Ngala.
So we have been very lucky. We've managed to find quite a unique situation here. That what you're looking at there, that is a half-eaten wildebeest, a young wildebeest. Looks like a calf, and you can see it's filled with flies at this point because it's probably been laying in the rain, in the sun today. But it has just started raining here on Ngala, and we had a view of the three cubs and the mother just now, and I think I'm going to move a little bit to try and see if we can get a better view. So there we go. Snoopy, the older male lions are not here at the moment. We know that one of them at least, well, one of the fathers, is a little bit further off, a couple of kilometers away from the side. And he's with the rest of the pride, where these two lionesses, I can only see one at this point, which is more than likely the mother, because I can see one of the cubs on top of her. And that means that the other one might have moved off. Maybe she has gone towards where she's got her own cubs. Now, what's really interesting at this point is we have quite a strict protocol in where we don't leave the road near a den site before we see the lion cubs on their first carcass or their first meat meal. And that is actually literally what we were witnessing here, which is an amazing event. So it means the mother, well, in this case it was probably also a bit of luck. She has decided to move them today. They're old enough to move around with her at this stage. Even old enough to climb trees, or at least try. And when we arrived we saw them chew a little bit, but I can't really see that their bellies are full. But then again, at this stage, I also don't think they have a massive appetite for meat yet. This is probably something new to them, or a new experience at least. From where I am, I can just see a little bit of the lioness's belly, and it looks heavily full. You can see the way she's shaking behind the bush, and she might come around and maybe move the carcass or try and eat a little bit more. You see the body shaking, that's her panting, and at this point that belly's so full. There's hardly space inside for her lungs to properly expand and take in large breaths of air. And then again, the digestive process also generates quite a lot of heat. Sandile, I wouldn't suggest that you try and play with these cubs like you would like to play with your puppies. I think it might be the last thing you ever do if you try that. I know they look very adorable and quite harmless. But if you have a look at the mother, you can see in her face, look at the size of those canines. That's what they turn into, and there's a massive amount of power. Even in those little lions, the size that they are incredibly powerful already. Now the fight for her attention starts. How amazing is that to see such a powerful animal around a situation where there's food. I always think these animals only act instinctively, and you might think that the lion is quite a vicious, powerful predator. And out here, I'm sure a lot of the animals associated with certain death. And there was just a very soft little bite with that powerful jaw around the little one in a playful manner. They seem to have quite a lot of energy. Mom's ears is definitely attracting a lot of attention at this point. And I'm sure her breath smells like dead wildebeest as well, so that must be quite attractive for them. That doesn't look like much, but I'm sure those bites, even though it's such a small lion, it must hurt for sure. It's got very sharp little claws. I can't imagine that at the state, the way she's feeling. You can see she looks quite lethargic. She's so full, she's not really in the mood probably for playful cubs, but she still handles it very well. One thing that I notice is that there's quite a lot of meat gone on this wildebeest. There's a lot left. I can see On the backside, there's still quite a bit of meat left, but the organs and most of the meat on the underside's gone. And that means that I do think the other lioness have eaten with her before she went off to wherever she went to. But while we sit here and see if anything changes, we'll send you over to Tristan and Djuma for an update.
Well, if only our luck was as easy as Yarpie's right now. This is what we are dealing with. In here, somewhere, is a leopard with a kill. But you can see that the grass length is over my head. She's here somewhere. I can hear movement in the grass here. And we can smell the carcass every now and then. And so we've been sitting here patiently looking, trying to see. But it is so dense in here that it is really near impossible to even spot this cat. And a lot of people often ask us, you know, how come it's not, well, how would you not be able to find a leopard on a kill? This is exactly the reason why. So what's happened is I think this leopard has dragged it into this section here because I keep hearing a noise in this bush. And it sounds like moving every now and then. But what I think has happened is that this leopard has dragged a very large carcass. We know that by the drag mark, and potentially is too large for it to hoist. So rather than going for a place where she can put it at the base of the tree and hope that she eats it in time, I think what she's done is she's decided to bring it into the densest, thickest, most inhospitable place possible in order to try and hide it until such time as she's eaten enough that she can then take it to a tree that suits her and kind of put it up. There's a few little trees. I mean, this wouldn't be a tree that she would use, but she does have the odd little tree here. But yes, this is what we are dealing with. It literally feels like we are in a cage in here. It is so dense. And like I said, I mean, she could be lying 5 meters from me and we would have absolutely zero idea. And it's why I haven't walked in here. It would be a suicide mission to walk in here. If you have a look on the left-hand side of this particular kind of area where the car is, you'll see right on the door here is the length of the grass there. So that grass would be up to my chest and tickle my chin. And so if you're walking in grass like this, what you're going to do is you're going to end up stepping on a cat. And when you know that they've got a kill, you are enticing a flight or fight syndrome from these cats. And that's always a dangerous thing to do. When it's open and clear, different, you can walk, you can see them. Okay, cool, back off, everything is fine. But in this case, the time it's going to take until you see it is when you're standing on top of it. And that's not really what we want. We don't want to disturb these cats. And so sometimes you win some and sometimes you lose some. In this case, I think we're losing a little bit. I don't think we're going to have much of a chance to find her in here. And so what I'm hoping is going to happen is that she eats a little bit and then wants to go for water. There's a beautiful spot just behind us here in the Mulawati where there's this flowing water and a beautiful sandbank. So I'm hoping that once she's had a little bit of an eat, she'll walk down and go and lie where it's a little bit more open, or up onto Twin Dam's wall itself. Twin Dam's is up on the top there. So we're just on the bank of the Mulawati at the moment. There is light, David.
Love it.
We're not stuck in the middle of nowhere. There's that smell of that carcass again. I think it's somewhere on our right-hand side here, David. There's birds that keep shouting in there. There's a spider, look. What kind of spider? It looks like maybe a little jumping spider that's moving ever so quickly away from us. There we go. Spider, are you building a whole web on our car? It is a solstice day. You can see that it's got those big eyes in the front. And those powerful legs that it uses to jump. It just goes to show you sometimes, while you can't see a leopard, if you just stop and look around, there's all kinds of life all around you, particularly at this time of the year, when we've had so much rain. It means that there's a lot of insect activity. And so sometimes being patient and just stopping and sitting like this in a little dense area can bring about what you're looking for. I don't know if you guys can hear those birds. That sound there, that's often a bird that's alarm calling. Now, unfortunately, it would have been easy just to go up and around this bush, but there's a tree that's fallen over, so we can't go any further. We have to go out and all the way back round again. in order to try and get any sort of visual on the other side. What I'm going to try and do is also use the old dam wall that's broken, to see if I can get on top a little bit and we can look down into this grass, because that might help us in being able to see. David, do you smell it? I do. It smells strongly. Now, which way is the wind blowing? It's not really blowing. Cameron, who's 9 years old. Cameron, you're concerned for our safety, which is very, very, very kind of you in bush like this. So the thing is, Cameron, is that in the vehicle, we're more than safe. These animals are very used to us. They, especially female leopard in this particular area. We know Tawny isn't here because we had Tawny this morning on Chitwa. And so the likelihood of her being here is very, very small. And the rest of the female leopards in this area are pretty used to the cars. So as long as we're not driving too close to her and we go slowly in, then we're going to be absolutely fine. We're not going to cause any sort of issue, and she should be absolutely okay with our presence. If we were walking, different story, Cameron. Walking, a leopard sees us as potentially a threat to them, and they will then get a little bit grumpy and will potentially... Have you found that spider again, David? Well spotted. It was an ant, a little Polyranchus ant. And so, then that leopard might think that we're there to take its kill or to hurt it, and then it can be a little bit more aggressive. But in the car like this, we're absolutely fine. We're all good. The leopard won't worry about us too much. We're very, very fortunate here that most of the cats that we view have become used to the fact that we're not trying to hurt them. We're not trying to steal food from them. We're not in any way trying to be aggressive towards them, and therefore they don't have to worry about us. We can just kind of move around near them without too much of a problem. Is it raining again? Not ideal. All right, well, we're going to try and see if we can get a visual of something in this Mordor thicket. And while we do that, I think we're going to have to try and maybe even put raincoats on. It looks like a big dark cloud coming our way as well.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Sometimes love wants to make you sing. And sometimes love wants to make you bow and fan your wings to your bow. For the southern yellow-billed hornbill, these are signs that love is in the air. These birds are destined for a season of monogamy at least. Breeding pairs are in it for the survival of their chicks. But before love commences, the male needs to woo his valentine with food in the form of nuptial gifts.
I'm Nikki here at andBeyond in Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the WildEarth website, head across to the live safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next WildEarth drive.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
There's a grounding earthiness to this place that we feel in our ancestors. It's a place where, believe it or not, we evolved as a human species, and anyone who's come to Africa will understand that. The connectivity that the continent has to the person and to people's souls is next level. I'm thoroughly looking forward to taking you on your next adventure when we explore all the small and big things.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
here. And it's been relentless. This poor lioness is not been able to take a breather once. Imagine that full belly with that little cubs bouncing about all on top of it, trying to get to the mammary glands. You can see they're clearly still trying to go for the milk. I saw them eat a little bit of the softer meat at the back of the carcass, but that was one tremendous effort to try and get to Mum's milk there still. And the other thing that I have seen in the past before is even after lion cubs have eaten, they still try to drink from the mother. It's a bit of a looks like a serious contest going on. If you have a look at the one on top of the mother's belly, it's got a very dark patch around the rump, and that's a young male. And clearly also the more adventurous one out of them, it looks like. I've noticed he's markedly bigger than his two sisters. The other two is two females. No, she's definitely had enough. I don't think she's going to roll around again now. Well, it looks like they've won. I'm always amazed at little creatures like this, especially little big cats or the babies of large predators. How relentless they are. An extremely strong survival instinct. So that he kicked in from a very, very early age. Now, the black patches around the rump and the back of these little animals, we did at one point have a little bit of a worry, because a few years back we had some mange in the area, and this pride, even this lioness, they lost most of the cubs of the litters from that particular year. And in part, it was probably due to the mange. It was a very dry year and the hunting was tough, so the lionesses would leave the cubs for long periods of time before they'd come back and try and feed them, even though they haven't had meals themselves. But while we sit here with our lions, we're going to send you over to Tswalu, where they've also got lions.
Alrighty guys, so we are now at the waterhole that we spoke about, where they're heading towards, just going around quickly. You can hear the guinea fowl is not too happy about the lions arriving on the scene, but the one female is now busy drinking water. There's some blue wildebeest just behind us. I don't know if these guinea fowl maybe made them aware that there's something up, because I can see they're paying attention. I hope it's only to us, but we'll have to see, because these females definitely look like they want to hunt. But yeah, getting a drink of water first. The wind is perfect for them to set up a hunt for anything coming from our direction towards them. So that'll be great if they can, you know, show us a little bit of action. But we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting to see if those blue wildebeest calm down. If they do, there's a good chance that they might notice them a little later on. I don't think the lions know about them yet. I did see that they smelt something, but for the time being, they're not seeing them. So they haven't gone into that hunting mode yet. I might actually, let me go a little forward, as we can see them drinking from the side rather than from the backside. And yeah, it does seem like the wildebeest haven't really seen the lions. They're just paying attention to what the guinea fowl is upset about. They're looking around still. They're not looking specifically at where the lions are. But yeah, now you'll be able to see the lions drinking a little bit better. Beautiful. You can see they're definitely picking up the scent. They're constantly looking in that direction. And I feel like the cubs might have spotted them already, but the females, they haven't. Well, if they have spotted them, they might just be waiting for a better opportunity to come, you know, for them to come closer, because between them and the blue wildebeest at the moment, there's not a lot of cover. That other female definitely spotted it now. You can see there's much more intent being shown with that stare. So hopefully before the rain gets a little too heavy, because you can start seeing the drops falling on the water there at the back. Hopefully before that happens, we'll get a little bit of action. Not too worried about those blue wildebeest by the looks of it. But yeah, I am hoping for a hunt to happen. It's always special to see that. It's not often that we get to see it, even though we're out here every day seeing a hunt happening. Everything has to be perfect. So most of the time when we do find the animals stalking, you'd rather let them go and come back a little later, see if they were successful, rather than to have your presence mess up the hunt for them. Or, you know, on the other side, your presence being the determining factor of a blue wildebeest losing its life because he couldn't see the lion stalking, or he was paying more attention to you or so. So typically we hang back. If we do stay in the stalk, we'll hang back and not do anything. You just, you know, find a spot where you think you might have a good view, and that's where you sit. Kyle, that's going to be a difficult question to answer. On Tswalu, yes, currently they are the largest pride, just because of all the new additions with the cubs. But the Kalahari is a tough one to answer, because the Kalahari is vast. The Kalahari is considered to be all the way from where we are right now into Botswana and a little bit of Namibia, all the way going through to the eastern parts or the western parts of Zimbabwe. So I would imagine, like in places like the Kalahari, also Transfrontier Park, there might be prides of lion that's a little larger, it's very possible, but it's difficult to really say. But from the ones that we can see on Tswalu, number-wise, if you count all the cubs at the moment, this will be the largest pride, yes. The northern pride is about 10, 11 at the moment, so these guys beat them by 2. But yeah, in the Kalahari as a whole, like I said, it's tough for me to really answer that question just because it is a huge, huge area with free roaming prides in some areas where it's not even considered to be game reserve. It's just wide open spaces. And you can see all of the cubs now all of a sudden paying attention. The wind suddenly picked up. The cloud cover is coming closer to us. You can see how I'll have a look at the water now again. Earlier it was smooth, up to the point where you can actually see the drops falling. Have a look at all the ripples on the water now. You can just see how that wind has picked up now. Incredible how it can happen in a split second. I did hear the blue wildebeest calling a little bit now behind us, so I think they might have spotted one of the cubs or so. You can see the females are not really too worried about them anymore. What they'll do now, guys, is they'll most likely give it a little bit of time and wait for something else to maybe move into the Waterhole area before they try and attempt to hunt again. Or they'll decide, let's move out of the area and see if we can't find something hidden in the bushes. Out here it is a little bit more difficult, especially where they are right now, just because there's no cover for them to hide behind. They'll have to be very lucky. So it might make sense for them to just move maybe 100 meters away from the waterhole where the vegetation starts getting a little higher, to give them more stalking opportunity, or possibilities at least. Lazy, these cubs. I think they've been playing the whole day. They might have taken a short nap during the middle of the day, but with the moms not being around, it's been a busy day for them, because then there was no rules anymore. You can see also now how much more comfortable they are. Remember, we spoke about it this morning, that they might not enjoy the vehicle too close to them just because the adults are not close by. Today, this afternoon, it's a whole different scenario. With the moms being around, they come up right next to the vehicle. Not a worry in the world. They know that their bodyguards are here, so they don't need to worry about a single thing. Yeah, but that larger female, the one. Joshua, so the lion population, the total lion population, we've got the northern and the southern pride. So in total, we've got around, if you count all of the members, typically we don't count cubs under 2 years because, the chances of them making it or not making it is quite high. They've got a high mortality rate, the cubs. Only 1 in every 5 typically makes it to adulthood. So sometimes we lose entire litters to, let's say, a snake or something like that. But let's count all of the individuals at the moment. We've got around, I want to say, 25-ish lions, and then the large males are 3. So around 28 lions on Tswalu. And they're doing very well. The Northern Pride should, not too long from now, get a couple of numbers extra as well, just because there's at least another 2 females that also has fallen pregnant and will have cubs soon. So that'll take the numbers up again a little bit. But like I said, with the cubs, it's always a tough one to really say, because you never know whether they are going to make it. Like I've mentioned this morning as well, the 6 cubs that the 10 cubs in the Southern Pride has been doing really well. The litter size has stayed the same since we saw all of them for the first time, so that's very positive. So the chances are good that they might make it to 2 years, all 10 of them, and that would be great. But it's just one day's bad luck, and the numbers could change quite drastically. So we'll have to see. These lions need to start doing something soon. The rain is getting a little heavy now. Well, heavier. I love how they always rub heads with one another when they approach an individual. It's very important for them, to keep that social bond going, just that touchy-feely type of vibe, because they're the only large cats that are social. They constantly have to remind each other that they love one another, because there's always fighting and so on involved around the kill, and for ranking order and for mating rights, all of those things. So when they're not fighting, they need to be cuddling and grooming each other and hugging and all of those things, just to keep that social bond nice and strong. Otherwise, the pride dynamics might become a little difficult. That's also why you always find that even though there's a perfectly good whole open area where they could be lying right now, they lie right on top of each other, all bundled together. It's just how they do things. By the looks of it, they might actually, I can see those females are also starting to fall asleep a little bit. They might actually take a little nap, It's beautiful weather for them to be resting in. Okay, so yes, the rain will definitely work in there, or be an advantage for them, because, not only does it take away, the drops will create a sound, the wind is picking up, so that also helps, but it takes away the smell of the lion, so that masks their scent, so the wildebeest or the whatever they're busy stalking can't smell them anymore. With the rain falling and the wind picking up, hearing the footsteps or the bristle in the grass of the lions moving closer to you is also going to be a bit more difficult, and with it raining, the herbivores do tend to become a little bit more, I wouldn't say lazy, but their senses in general go down a little bit. They have to close their eyes a lot more because the raindrops are falling on their face and those types of things. So for the lions, as soon as they need to, they can get closer to that prey species a little easier than usual. So yes, no, absolutely, it will be an advantage for them to have the rain falling while the lions are stalking or while they're looking to hunt. But then again, the amount of times during the year that it rains while they want to hunt is also not as much. So they need to be very well adapted to hunt and stalk and kill when it's not raining, if you know what I mean. this is just a lucky coincidence that they are hungry. They are looking to hunt, and it is starting to rain, so that'll help them. I see there's some red hartebeest that's also moved into the area. It's behind a tree for us now, guys, so we won't be able to put them on screen. I don't want to move too much as well. But they are moving in and closer to the waterhole. They don't know necessarily about the lions. They only arrived after all of the racket was made by the guinea fowl and so on. So there's a slight possibility that they might come a little closer and that we might get a bit of action if the rain allows us to be out here for a little while longer. We'll have to see. And as you can see, guys, these ones that we're looking at right now, the larger cubs, they're not drinking milk anymore. They've been weaned completely. When the mom stands up, you'll also see that her milk has started drying away. The fact that the younger cubs are still in the pride is causing her to continue lactating, even though it's not at such a rapid pace, just because then the cubs can drink from both females. They do that. They do allosuckling. But the ones that we're looking at right now, busy drinking from the mom, is definitely still going to be on the milk maybe for another month or so. They typically get weaned normally at around 6-ish months, depending on the female.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Riverbeds are a great way to find water and look for places where elephant have excavated hollows. You can then dig into the sand, and after a couple of feet you should find damp sand, which then can be squeezed out or siphoned off for water. And with water being one of our scarcest resources, it is a good idea to conserve water where and how you can.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Africa is very special, and when you come down here, even when you're watching through our camera, the landscapes change from desert to bushveld to up in the Masai Mara where there's grassland. That means that the biodiversity changes as we move along Africa. And what I love most about connecting with you guys is the fact that I get to share these wonderful experiences with thousands of people.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
have left the lioness with her 3 adorable cubs, and we are currently looking for another lioness. So there's tracks of a lioness on the road, and it's heading in the direction that we're heading. And I suspect that this might be the lioness that was with the one and her cubs. Because there's no way that those 3 little cubs and that one lioness would have eaten that much meat between when we saw them last this morning and now. Now, it is a tricky thing because we had rain earlier on and the roads are a little bit covered now with raindrops, so we can't see the tracks that clearly. And then also, the area has a huge effect on the way the animals move through an area. Now, this particular area is quite open. You'll notice up ahead on our left-hand side, it is going to be relatively open, for Ngala at least. Ngala doesn't have a lot of clearings, but after all the rain we've had this year, I have not actually ever experienced it like this myself. Now I'm hoping that we might get to see some general game species here, maybe some zebra, or at least a herd of wildebeest. Now, if that lioness did move past here, and since she had eaten something, there's a good chance she would have moved right out in the open, take the shortest route towards wherever she had to go, which I suspect might be her den site. Now, the most amazing thing about that, there is a big wildebeest bull far off in the distance. I think while we continue looking for this lioness, we'll head over to Phinda with Kim, who has found her lovely power.
Welcome back. We've come across quite a pretty scene, something a little bit different as opposed to being up close with giraffe. We've got a beautiful silhouette of a whole bunch of them. I haven't actually counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It looks like about 9 that I can see, but one has laid down. I think a few others have laid down. They might be settling in there for the night, but the sky is getting very pretty as the sun's going down. There's some awesome clouds above us. And I just thought that, yeah, it looked really pretty, those giraffes just sitting on the horizon, kind of silhouetted against the beautiful sky. Such a beautiful afternoon. You're just sitting here listening to all the birds chirping, the sun going down. It's really, really, really a beautiful afternoon. So temperate as well. It's not too hot. It's like a very slight breeze blowing. Life is good out here at the moment. Except for my hay fever. This grass is giving my hay fever hell. Keegan, giraffe have quite loose kind of group structures, or social dynamics rather. So occasionally you'll see them off by themselves. Sometimes they'll be together. They very much, they don't. It's not very structured, their social dynamics. So sometimes you'll see a bull roaming around by himself. He may join up with a group just for company, for safety, maybe to mate with some of the females, but you'll often see quite a few males in a group, or you'll see half males, half females, or more females than males. So it's very much kind of all over the place. There isn't any rule of thumb when it comes to giraffe, but they do very often stick in groups, but it isn't uncommon to see a giraffe by itself either. So no direct answer for that question. It's a little bit, a little bit all over the place, the social dynamics of giraffe. But you can see at the moment, I mean, they haven't really done much, these giraffes. They've just been standing there on the horizon. Like I said, a few have laid down, but none of them are feeding. From this distance, we can't see... Well, actually, I can just see the profile of one. No, it doesn't even look like they are chewing the cud. Because sometimes when they're just standing there not feeding, they may be chewing on regurgitated vegetation, just making sure that they can squeeze every last little ounce of nutrition out of it. From this distance, I can't quite tell if they are doing that. But they could just be settling down for the night. Got a nice open area there, so they won't feel too vulnerable when they've laid down. They're up on a hill, so they can see for far around even while they're lying down. Yeah, see, Max, so I've just been explaining about social dynamics, and they aren't very social, and I think that's why they can sometimes be by themselves, and sometimes in a group they kind of don't really mind the solitary life, but they also are quite happy to be included in a group. It's not like lions or elephant cows and calves where they feel the need to, well, female lions, lionesses and cubs, those all feel very much the need to be with the group. And when they're separated, they get quite anxious, or they'll be calling to one another. Giraffe, you don't really see that anxiety when they get split up. They're a little bit more chilled to be separated from one another. So, yeah, I mean, I would say they can be social, but a bit less social than some other animals. See that one giraffe stood up and now is scratching itself. And I think the reason that it might have stood up is just because there are so many flies in this long grass. So it might be irritating it a little bit. Decided it might need to find somewhere a bit less grassy, maybe on a road, somewhere where there won't be so many flies. Glenn's asked quite an interesting question, though, about whether or not giraffes that don't have young would initiate, or female giraffes that don't have young would initiate courtship. And I have to say that I don't know the answer to that question, but I would say I don't think so. Males are very proactive in trying to find a female who's ready to mate with, so I don't think she would need to do much initiating of the courting, because the male does it all for her. He'll follow them around, attach himself to a group of females or a group that has females in it, and he'll test the urine of the females and try and find one that's ready to mate, and then he'll mate with those who are ready to mate, to mate or to reproduce. So yeah, I don't think that they really need to do much initiating of any courtship. I think the males have got it under control. Okay, I think we're going to move on from these giraffe. They definitely don't look like they are doing anything. The only one that we've seen move is the one who was lying down and then stood up again. But we are going to send you over to Tswalu, and we're going to head off and see what else this afternoon has to offer us.
So, okay guys, yeah, the female's definitely relaxed. I think they have decided to take it a little easy, wait for maybe the cover of darkness and something else to move in closer. The red hartebeest have definitely also quieted down a little bit. That not that they were making any noise, but they're not as worried anymore. But yeah, the cubs, they are still being cubs. So busy bees, not sitting still for too long, as you can see. And constantly on the lookout for an opportunity to do something. This little guy is very curious as to what the vehicle is. Coming ever closer. Always great to have that, innocent curiosity. I just love the eyes of a lion. They always, when they walk past you, also they look you directly into the eye. It's almost like they look into your soul. It's just great. See the long hair on the inside of their ears, guys. With most of the cats, you'll find that long hair on the inside of the ear, and that all just help to direct all of the sound waves into the shell of the ear, which then gives them advanced hearing. There's a cub so close to the car now that, well, in front of the bonnet, that we can't even put it on screen. It's right over here. And he's busy playing with a rock by the looks of it. Yeah. Very curious as to why the vehicle is not making a sound anymore. But yeah, to come back to that long hair, you'll find it with most of the large cats. Alton, just repeat that question. At what stage does it... What? Stop what? Okay, Francine. So, for the cubs, it's a tough one to really say it ever stops, because you'll sometimes even find the adults playing with one another. However, it doesn't happen as often at that point anymore. I want to say typically from around 4 years, you'll find that the cubs, or at that point sub-adults, don't want to say lose their playfulness, but they do become a little bit more serious about life. You know, if you have to think in human here, or in human terms, that's typically when they go at, let's say, get to that stage of where they're around 25 years of age, where they're now supposed to be all grown up and starting to take care of themselves. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily always mean that they stop playing completely. You'll still find them being playful here and there. But the super playfulness, typically at around, I want to say 4 years. Some of them a little earlier, some of them a little later. But yeah, that's normally the stage of their life where they do get a little bit more serious about life. You know, then there's always the factor of them not having the excess amount of energy which they can just burn by playing. Then they need to start worrying about conserving energy, because, you know, they need to hunt and take care of themselves. So when they're not actively hunting or moving to a certain area or going to the water or something like that, they then need to save their energy instead of burning it by playing. So you'll find them becoming a little bit more static, or resting a lot more. So like these two females, the adults, they will most likely not be in a very playful mood until they've killed something and have fed, because then their bellies are full, so they know there's energy in the bank, and that will then entice them or enable them to be a bit more active than what they are right now. And yeah. So stuck in bed, the genders of these cubs, if I'm not mistaken, the larger litter of cubs is 2 males and 1 female. And then the smaller litter of cubs is then the other way around, 2 females and 1 male. For us, it's always great to see that there's both genders in a litter, especially, I almost prefer having female cubs being born, just because you know that that's going to make the pride stronger for one day. The more female cubs are born, the better the chances of the pride, getting more numbers and having more females to help them hunt, and, having more reproductive females one day, which will then ensure the success of the pride. But then again, also, it's always positive to have young boys also in the litters, just because that's when you'll then find that they will grow up and they'll be the future of the genetics being passed on throughout the reserve. So, very important to have both genders. But in a case like now, where we've got 3 big dominant males, it is probably better to have more female cubs, just because they are going to be dominant for quite some time. And because of that, we don't necessarily need new blood in the reserve. They're going to be the mating male. So rather have young females coming through the ranks, and then just when they get to that stage where they are able to mate, then it's important for new males to take over the pride, so that the fathers can't get to their daughters, Very important to not have males that are dominant for too long, especially if it's not a large group of males, let's say only 3 of them, like we have over here. If they are dominant in an area for 5, 6, 7 years, that will definitely cause them to be able to mate with their daughters or their, brother's daughter, and the genetic diversity is just not large enough for them for that to be possible and not have genetic deficiencies coming through. In larger coalitions like 6 or 7, or I've heard the largest one I've ever heard of is 9 males operating together, there you will have enough genetic diversity that even if it's a cousin of the one male that mates later on with that male's daughter, they will not be, it won't do too much damage. But yeah, at the moment I don't think these cubs are worried too much about the future. So Josh, that's a very good question. Why is the end of the tail of a lion black and fluffy? So we call that the lion's follow me sign. You'll find with most of the animals, they either have black on the tips of their tail or white underneath their tail. So things like the kudus and so on, they'll again have white fluff underneath their tail, which they hide. For the lions, because they have such perfect camouflage. I mean, even when they're lying now on the sand, because we know they're here, it's not too difficult to spot them. But if they are in the long grass and so on, they can disappear quite quickly. And especially with the cubs being in the pride, they always need to see where the mother is going so that they can follow her. So what they do is when they walk, when they're not hunting, the females will actually lift their tails up, not straight up into there, they curl it back, so that black fluffy ball is like a little bell that sticks out above the grass. And that's what the cubs then, or the other lions, not necessarily only cubs, but it is predominantly for the cubs that it's there, that's what they use to follow the other females and not get lost. For something like the kudus, it's also very important for the babies to be able to follow the mom. So when they start running, they curl up their tail, and then that white ball of fluff gets exposed, and that's what the calves or the babies look at to know where the mother is running, so they can run in the same direction. Otherwise, they are going to just run around paranoid and most likely run into a lion or into a leopard or so, which will get them eaten. So yeah, very important, that black little tip on the lion's tail. And that little guy is now in full explore mode. He's busy walking through all the long grasses, and inside there, those big plants that you can see that's sticking above his head, those are called datura. You typically find them growing in the shade underneath the trees. And it's tree climbing time for them now. So, yeah, for the lions, guys, I mean, obviously they're not fully equipped to really effectively climb up and down trees, you know, like leopards do, but it is a good time to play and to hone their skills and do all of those things. And, you know, climbing into the trees is also going to help them with their balance and all of those things. So, very important for the cubs to also be doing what they're doing right now, especially a tree like this where it's a branch that or a trunk that's a little bit at an angle. It's not straight up, and that helps them to get up into the higher branches. Whoops. Like I said, they're not fully equipped to go up and down the trees effectively. As you just saw, that one came tumbling down. And now it's the other one's turn. I wonder. Yeah, we'll just see if they, when they come out, what they want to do. But it is going to become a sort of a king of the hill thing. So meerkat, lion cubs are not born blind, but they are born with their eyes closed. So at that point, their eyes are very sensitive, just as they open them after about 10 to 14 days. So yes, effectively, for that first stage of their life, they don't have the ability to see, but that's just because their eyelids are still closed. It's not because they're physically blind. It's just a matter of their little eyes being not developed well enough yet. Because it's a larger litter, the cubs are born in what we call an altricial state, so not very well developed. They can't walk, they can't move, they can't see at that point. So it's only afterwards that they open their eyes, you know, after about 10 to 14 days too. And then they'll slowly start seeing shapes, and then as their vision gets a little bit better, so do their ability to move and walk and do all of those things. And that is why the parental period of a lion is much longer than something like an impala or so, because the impalas are born very, very well developed in a precocial state. So as soon as they are born, about half an hour after that, they can do everything that their mom can do, apart from the fact that they still need to drink milk. They are just loving that tree at the moment. Yeah, guys, I was thinking about repositioning, but looking at the angles, it's going to be difficult. Colleen, Davids, they are absolutely adorable. You're very right. These cubs are incredible, and they're really giving us a good show. You know, not only this afternoon, but also in the morning. We've had some very special time with them. Always great to have a lion, regardless of the size, looking a little bit more active. And I mean, cubs are just always cute, so they are really providing some good opportunities for us to show you how special they can be. I think I am going to maybe just go a bit forward and see if we can't get the branches out of the way. Let's just see if we change the angle a little bit like this. Not really. So yeah, guys, we're gonna look for a better spot. If we find one, we'll come back and show you, but for the meantime, we're just gonna try and check if we can get another gappy.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
So in 1998, we had this idea to go and put a live web camera on a waterhole somewhere in the Sabi sands next to the Kruger National Park. And I approached just about every single landowner, and everybody thought I was completely crazy until I met Yuri and Pippa Moorman.
We thought it was definitely a fun idea and a worthwhile thing to experiment.
And it immediately became a runaway success. And it gave people all around the world the opportunity to watch a little piece of Africa day and night. Back in 1998, it was the very early stages of the internet. And all we were able to do was to get a 30-second refreshing JPEG out of that camera. But over time, what we began to do is focus more and more on trying to develop this concept of giving people the opportunity to go on safari.
Even though we live just 500 meters up this hill, we still put the camera on to see what's happening.
Absolutely, we watch it ourselves.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on WildEarth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
The croc is still holding another one there. It's holding from the hindquarters. I would really want the wildebeest cross. Is it trying? The croc is holding the tail. It's holding tight. Oh no. Goodness me. Lucky, lucky wildebeest. You have another day to live.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
So yeah, guys, we quickly just came around the tree, and we've actually, the cubs actually provided the better view for us. We thought of going around a little bit more, and then they decided, no, we're coming to this branch, and as you can see, there's a proper king of the hill type of vibe going on there now. So we've got 5 cubs in the tree at the moment. The 5th one we just can't see. He's up and down the whole time. There we go. They're really working with us this afternoon. That larger cub might push one of the others out of the tree if it continues like this. But yeah, just incredible to see all of this activity and how they're operating at the moment. And that one on the top there on the right hand side, he feels like a proper leopard at this point in time, you know, staring out over the vastness of Tswalu. pushing his limits a little bit, trying to see how far he can go onto the branch. I wonder. Lion lover, so the tree that they are in at the moment is called a camel thorn tree. It's one of our largest acacia type of tree that we have in the area, and quite an iconic Kalahari tree as well. You'll find that quite a lot of animals make use of these trees, more the birds and smaller organisms. But with us having not a lot of leopard, the leopard that we do have, they'll love going into these trees. As you can see, there's nice big branches for them to lie on and to pull a kill up into the tree and so on. But then again, the sociable weavers will often make their nests in these trees just because the wood of this tree is very, very strong. So it makes sense for them to go and build that heavy nest in one of these trees, just because then the possibility of the branch breaking and the nest falling down is much lower. The white-browed sparrow weavers also often use it. And then, all of the browsers, all of the things like giraffe, kudu, all of those antelope will love feeding on these trees. You can imagine why a tree has thorns. It's just to have an added layer of protection because their leaves are so tasty. So with that being the case, whenever they do get the opportunity to feed on these trees, they're going to do so as well. But yeah, to answer your question more specifically, it's a camel thorn tree. We get two different species here on Tswalu. You get the common camel thorn, which is this one, and then you get the grey camel thorn. Grey camel thorn also very good for browsing. A slightly smaller growing tree with thinner leaves and thorns for that matter, or leaflets and thorns, and the animals will love feeding on that as well, but definitely not as sturdy and as tall growing as the common camel thorn tree. Guys, it's just special to be able to see these cubs in the way they are right now. It's quite special to have this because you don't often see that. Victim of nature, yes, absolutely. This tree is now the new Tswalu jungle gym. If they continue playing it for long enough, I might join them over there, as long as the moms are all right with it. But yes, it's the perfect place for them to develop their skills and to practice, balance and hand-eye coordination and all of those types of things. Also maybe get away from all the insects that's closer to the surface of the earth, all the armored ground crickets and so on. And I think the mothers are enjoying life very much because now the cubs have something else to keep them busy instead of themselves. So they're not getting bugged at the moment by the cubs, so they can actually rest a little bit. So yeah, guys, we're gonna see what this situation pans out to. For the meantime, we're going to send you over to Ngala with some giraffe.
No, this far we haven't had any luck with our lioness tracks that we've had. Looks like the animals moved back all the way to the old den side of our sister. But along the way we've come across these giraffes. And by the looks of it looks like there's a few young males and mostly females. And what a backdrop. You can see those clouds moving in very, very quickly. That's where the rain came from earlier. And some of them do look a little bit dark. I can't help but wonder if we will have more rain tonight or not. It's quite open here. And you can see a lot of dead trees scattered in between the giraffes. And it's quite interesting that the giraffes are here. This part of the reserve, the soils change quite a bit. It changes over from mostly granite soils to gabbro soils. And with that, we find quite a lot of different trees in this area, different large trees, knobthorns. Well, a lot of them used to be knobthorns. If you have a look at those skeletons of the trees standing out from the tall grass. What's interesting though is that these giraffes, what I've noticed is the one that's been standing feeding the whole time, she looks like she's feeding off a cropped down buffalo thorn. And then the one off to the left is obviously quite curious. You can see the ears moving. That might be because of flies bothering, but it's also definitely flies bothering. Gabby, sometimes she doesn't have a choice, all the females. They kind of have to go with the male that moves into the area and that is the biggest and the strongest, and make sure that the other males stay away. But I'm sure giraffes are also able to pick up on whether it is a mature male, one with strong genes. There's various cues that she can go with that. She might have a look at its color. Its size is definitely an indication. And normally what that male will do, even though he's not territorial, is he will definitely try and compete. He'll try to establish some sort of a hierarchy if there are any other males moving into the area. And then keep them off, and then he'll go after whatever females might be in heat. There's another giraffe coming over from the left. They're always quite curious. And talking about females knowing which males to mate with, that female looks like she's actually busy moving away, and you can see there's a male not far behind her. I think what I might do is I might move a little bit forward, just to see if we can get a slightly better view. I'm sorry if I heard your name correctly, Lars. Is it possible for giraffes to sleep with their head on trees? I guess it could be, but I've never seen it. I guess if they are if they're really, really tired and they do have to have a nap, and there's a prominent for appropriate nook, they might put their head down there, but I've never seen that. And I actually highly doubt it. They usually either lay down or they stand up sleeping out in the open or near tall trees. So now the male's caught up with the female, and both him and her is busy feeding off that tree. Now it looks like all of these giraffes have actually been moving, funnily enough, from the one buffalo thorn to the next. And that giraffe literally just walked into a tree. But I think it might have also been in part to scratch. Tawny, that's a really good question, and unfortunately I don't know the answer to that. Would giraffes eat bird eggs for calcium? They're not predatory, they are herbivores, but I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if they do try to eat egg shells, empty egg shells in an old nest if they find it for calcium. You can see an oxpecker on the giraffe. In fact, there's quite a few oxpeckers on them. The one over to the left has quite a lot on her. It's amazing. Even the oxpeckers, I've noticed certain groups of oxpeckers. You can see those ones combing through the fur. Quite rapid movements, but you see the head go down and then they put their beak in the fur and they find a line and they move along it looking for any parasites that might sit in the fur. Mainly ticks. Blood-sucking parasites. And while we enjoy these giraffes in this beautiful clearing, we'll go over to Tswalu to see what their lions are doing.
So, alright guys, yeah, the females now got up, and it seems like they've actually spotted the red hartebeest. I don't see them paying or being super interested in them. However, the red hartebeest seems to have spotted something which is not the lions that we're looking at. They're looking in a whole other direction. Okay, that one is looking at us, but you can see the one on the left is paying quite very close attention to whatever is going on to their right-hand side, which is actually going to help because now the lions look like, well, that one lioness looks like she's a little bit more in the mood for going towards these red hartebeest. Excuse me. It could be something, it could just be like kudus or so coming in from the other direction, which the hartebeest is seeing, and it's not too comfortable for them, but we'll have to see what happens. They definitely, I don't think they know about the lions coming from this side though, which is great news for us. Yeah, there we go. That looks a little bit more like we want them to move. just don't know where the other female is. This lady is gonna kind of need the second female to help her with this. The red hartebeest can be, well, not can be, they are quite fast. So they are going to need all the help they can get. I mean, a lion can, yes, yeah, they can charge at, 80 kilometers an hour, but a red hartebeest, they say, can run up to 70 k's an hour. So for the lion, if they are not chasing them into another lion, it's gonna be a tough chase. We'll have to see how things work out. Ay. It now seems like the red hartebeest has spotted our female as well. Well, at least one. No, not really, eh? They're looking all over the show. So they know that something's up, but they don't know what. Oh, here's the other female coming through. And she doesn't seem like she's seen the red hartebeest. Hammond, so yes. I'd say most, like tigers, lions, and leopards, they'll hunt the same way. Something like a cheetah is going to have a slightly different approach. You know, they don't rely on stalking quite as much as the other big cats, because they rely a little bit more on their speed, you know, to be able to run down their prey over a short distance, whereas the things like lion and leopard and so on, they are going to stalk those animals almost up to the point where they, I want to say, ideally are within 10 meters of the prey species, and then use their power to pull it down once they've grabbed a hold of it. Whereas with the cheetahs, they are going to use that high-speed chase to then catch up to the other animal or to the prey, and then use the speed of the other animal to trip it. And in the process of then falling, you will then find that they grab a hold of the throat and suffocate. So all of the animals, all of the big cats will kill in the same way. You know, grabbing a hold of the throat or the nostrils and closing off either the blood flow to the brain or the ability for it to breathe, like smothering it. With the hyenas and the wild dogs, they again use endurance to run, you know, tire out their prey over time, and then as soon as they can get a hold of the animal, they unfortunately kill it by eating it. So it's a little bit more gruesome. But in general, the cats rely more on stealth. I mean, even if you go towards the smaller cats, something like a caracal or a serval or so, they rely on stealth to get close to their prey, and then a quick burst of speed followed by using their power, and then those sharp claws and teeth to neutralize its prey. You can also hear the guinea fowl has now become aware of the lions being around again, so that's why they're going crazy like that. The unofficial alarm systems of the bush. And yeah, guys, so the red hartebeest unfortunately took off. I think they didn't necessarily know or see the lions, but they knew that something was up. There was just too much stomping around and looking around for them, and eventually they decided to rather just get out of the area. They will do that sometimes, you know, most of the herbivores, when something just doesn't feel right, rather move to a different area, and then you can relax a little bit again. But normally that funny feeling that you've got in the back of your mind is a good one to listen to for the herbivores. It's incredible how they can disappear in this grass. And to give an idea, this is an area where there's actually relatively short grass. It's maybe about calf height. So let's say 45 centimeters tall. And I mean, you can just see the ears of that lioness sticking out. And that's also because her head is up. So amazing too. Well, this will give you a better idea of how tall the grass is at the moment. That's one of the small cubs moving through it, and you can see the top of its back still sticking out. So not very tall the current state of the sour grass that we are in right now. Let's go a little forward, see what's going on. Definitely moving with a little bit more intent. You can see those females are also scanning. Oh, there we go. Here's some blue wildebeest coming in. Okay, guys, we're gonna wait a little bit for this. Okay, and we're not gonna move at all. So we'll see now what happens. You can see the blue wildebeest over there. They don't know what's going on. Come on, girl. See the wildebeest. There we go. I think she knows about them now. Don't know if the other female... I haven't seen the other female in a while, so I hope the cubs sit still now because she needs to. She needs to know what's going on here. Let's just see. Yeah, there we go. Definitely knows about them. Because if I do sometimes keep quiet for a little bit, it's just because the situation requires it, so just bear with me. We just want to see if she can't devise a plan to take down one of these wildebeest. It would be great. Oh, those cubs need to go and sit still now. See, that's why the mom sometimes leaves the cubs at a waterhole when they go out to look to hunt, because otherwise situations like this happens where they might give away the surprise. It still doesn't seem like the wildebeest know about something. Luckily, these two females that we have in front of us, the lionesses, they are excellent hunters, so I think we have a good chance of something happening now. It is going to be a patience game, guys, so just bear with us, because, they need... There she goes. I think that was a little early. Look. They're catching up. Catch it. Come on, girl.
So we've left those giraffes and we are now going into dusk, which means that now we're looking for some nocturnal animals or crepuscular animals, animals that operate at this time of the day, neither when it's light or neither when it's dark. Up ahead there's some zebra, and this area is a very, very good area to look for predators. The grass is long enough even for a predator such as the leopard to hunt in, or lion.
Jesse. Alright guys, so unfortunately she gave up just as she was right next to the calf. Not this female, the other one. But they have missed now, but luckily we got to see everything. You know, the stalk and the chase, and it just shows you how sometimes the fact that she was impatient for 1 second too much, you know, started the chase a little early, caused her to not be, or them to not be successful at the end of the day. However, there was a point where I thought they were going to get it. We'll have to see now what their plans are after missing, because the blue wildebeest obviously took off here, as you can imagine. Let me go a little forward. But, yo, that was so cool. It was very, very, very close. I think the communication between the two females might have been a little bit broken, and because of that, the charge happened a little early, and the other female didn't know what was going on, and that just caused them to unfortunately miss. Like we spoke about it earlier, I mean, everything has to be perfect. It has to work perfect for the hunt to be successful. So because of that minor complication now, the fact that the female went just literally a little too early caused them to miss the kill. And you know, that's the way of the bush. Unfortunately for the lions, the blue wildebeest is also designed to stay alive as long as they can. So speed and agility and all of those things are definitely incorporated in their build. And if the lions don't do everything right, they are going to lose. And believe me, they lose more than they win. Just because if they killed more successfully, I don't think there would be enough prey for them around. But yeah, that was very, very cool. Yeah, that's close. David, no, so this is not an ambitious kill for them. This would be a good kill. They can, if you for two lioness, if you want to think about an ambitious kill, you'll go to something like, let's say, an adult male Cape eland, which is huge. I mean, they're bigger than a buffalo. Or for them to go for something like a buffalo, or let's say a giraffe, that's going to be a little bit ambitious for them. But blue wildebeest, oryx, red hartebeest, those sized antelope, is going to be perfectly within their range, even for a single female. So I think they were. There's a couple of things that could have gone wrong. They might have thought that the cubs are going to mess it up, and that's why they started in the charge early, just because they wanted here's one of the cubs now making an attempted kill. Decided against it. So the fact that the cubs were present could have caused them to charge a little earlier than what they should. Or you know, like I said, just pure impatience or something like that. The conditions always have to be perfect for the kill to succeed. But just to, you know, see the stalk and the charge and the chase, and even though it was a miss, it's still special to see this type of behavior. It's something that we don't often get to see. And I think they're gonna look like this now again for a little bit, and up in the tree again, and wait for something to move into the area again, possibly to come to sleep in this open area where we are in right now, or, you know, something like that. The little cubs are also now approaching us from the back. They're coming to rejoin the females. You can see how much attention they're paying to the little ones. So yeah, guys, we're gonna stick with these lines a little bit, see if there's something that moves into the area. For the meantime, we're sending you over to Ngala, okay?
Again. So in that direction there is a hyena that I don't know if you'll be able to see now. And it looked like it was definitely following the scent of something. There's a steady breeze coming from the east at this moment. An animal such as this hyena with a very, very powerful nose will be able to pick up on the scent of any potential meal or any potential large predator that might be nearby from far, far away down that side. I'm very, very curious to know what that might be. I was walking up and down the road here. It was looking like it wasn't sure what was going on. It had a quick drink of water and then picked its head straight up, and with a very clear choice, it took that game path into the tall grass. But I was hoping that maybe we'd get lucky with something else here. Now, we're going to continue and see if we can find anything else along this road. There is quite a lot of animals starting to move around at this point, like the hyena specifically, and in my opinion, that's always the best lead to follow. Jackie, you're very right. Hyenas are forever on a mission. They are very, very active animals. Maybe not so much when it's hot during the daytime, but they got excellent senses, sense of hearing, sense of smell. They're also very intelligent, and they know how to track other animals very well, especially their competitors, like the lion, the leopard, and the wild dog. And they have massive massive amounts of energy that they can exert. They've got a stamina and they can just keep going and keep walking for as long as possible. So if you have a little bit of patience and you are willing to follow them, then you never know, you might get lucky.
Hi, I'm Sue. I'm from South Africa and I'm the incredibly lucky winner of the Tswalu competition. Tswalu has so much to offer, but we're really looking forward to the game viewing options, as going out with a personal guide who has so much knowledge will just be exceptional. Musth Lodge looks absolutely amazing and we're so looking forward to spending time there. It really is out of this world. I only registered as an explorer towards the end of January, so when the email arrived stating that I was the winner, it took me totally by surprise. I'd just like to thank WildEarth and Tswalu for this most incredible prize. It really is a dream come true.
WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
The reason why we see that wildebeest by himself is because he's a male, or a bull, as we typically would call him. And what he does is that he marks and defends an area. Essentially, he is looking for the ultimate piece of land or prime property. Needs to have good grazing, needs to have a water source close by. And not too far away from here, there's a sickle bush thicket that would provide just enough shelter from the wind and the rain.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Hello, Mama. Just checking us out, everybody. There's no aggression here. Very relaxed. A herd of elephants moving around your car like that is truly, truly magical.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
And it has been very quiet this side. We are making, well, I've decided we're going to make our way towards the area where where the lions were found earlier today. The rest of the Pride members that we haven't seen this afternoon. And I think we'll try and see if we get lucky with a view of them. As far as I know, they've moved into a tricky spot where we aren't able to follow them at the moment. And I'm taking a slow drive in the hopes that we might get something along this road. This is a major road through the middle of the reserve. often animals use this. So, while we continue along this road, we'll send you over to Steve at Prrivate and we'll find out how his day has gone.
Thank you, Arpie. Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, welcome to Prrivate Eco Training. My name is indeed Steve, and I'm joined once again by Johan on camera, and we are sorry we haven't been able to be with you most of the day. This morning with a little bit of rain, then we did get out after the rain, and we just didn't find anything. But this afternoon, we've gone east. We've been running around in a place called Boston, and we found some lions, which is very cool. 3 lionesses, one lactating. So that'd be nice to see, but unfortunately there was just no broadcastability from that area, so it's something we're definitely working on. And then we had a very nice experience with the big mighty man himself, Izolwini, which was very, very special. So we've now returned back onto Prrivate and we find ourselves in a bit of signal, and we wish you all a very good evening. So hopefully on our little meander down this road now, we might be able to find ourselves one of those spotted things. You know what I mean? Tim, I don't know what the lions look like. I took a couple pictures of these individuals, but apparently Lagarth is on her own, as far as I'm aware. She's a lioness on her own, and this was clearly a sub-adult and 2 adults, and the one adult was clearly suckle marked. So she had very, very prominent suckle marks. And it wasn't actually that hard to find them, so I was quite impressed with my tracking abilities this afternoon. It is a wonderful property to traverse on, very, very open, and we are going to lose signal once again, so we're just going to switch off quickly and so unfortunately no signal there at the moment, but it's something we're going to work on. Beautiful open terrain, lots and lots of open plains, and definitely a nice area to sort of check out for the first time. So elephants were there, lots and lots of lion tracks, finding a pride of 3, and there was tracks of a male. Not sure where he's gotten to, but it seems like we're losing signal if I move. So any questions, Elton? Or maybe I'll reverse backwards, perhaps. How's that sound? Get back into signal that way. We shall try. So this road Tim, no, I don't know the whole of Prrivate. I know it okay, but we've been doing some checking. So here is the eco training camp. Do you want to just come in a little bit there? I might be able to get up nice and close. The eco training camp is just over here by Ndlovu Dam. And you can see all the ticks up here. That is where we've been spending a lot of time, and we get lots and lots of signal. Down this side over here, lots of crosses, and then Boston is this whole section on the eastern side. So we are right over here now, and I suppose if I'd gone right there, we would have got signal that takes us back up onto the hill reservoir. But no, I'm still learning. Thanks, Johan. But with every reserve, you drive a little bit, you have a look at the map, you drive and you have a look at the map. And so slowly but surely you figure out where you're going. And so feeling quite comfortable. There's a big mountain over there, which makes it quite easy to navigate. And sometimes we can actually see some stars. Not tonight. There's a big cloud formation. No rain this afternoon, although we did have some this morning. And unfortunately, we don't have the necessary rain roofs and gear to protect ourselves against such weather. But definitely lots of work still required, but some beautiful areas that we've been working in. There are some tracks. This morning we had a very brief visual of a leopard.
but it was running. Highly mobile across the road. I didn't even see it, just Johan saw it. So we tried to follow up. I'm not sure if it was male or female, but with a little bit more effort, a little bit more tracking, and we will find. Well, lady, I have indeed. I've seen a buffalo birth on Chitwa. I've seen impalas birthing. What else have I seen? That's about it, actually. I haven't seen anything else. I've been close to elephants when they've birthed, but I haven't physically seen elephant birthing. It's quite a thing to be a part of. We found a breeding herd this afternoon with 2 of the smallest little ones. They were very cute. The 3-year-olds, the last generation that was born, were trying to suckle, and Mum was going, "Get away!" And the little ones couldn't even look over the grass. You know when they don't have coordination of the ears and their legs are just this sort of wobbly, but very relaxed. Very relaxed. I spent quite a lot of time in the Timavati, which is just around the corner from here. So we go through in Balula now, we go into Klaseri and then into Timavati. I spent a lot of time in this area back in 2007 with elephants. And so very blessed to be in amongst the elephant energy once again, and very blessed to be in amongst the presence of Isilweni this afternoon. He is a magnificent gentleman who let us know he was there. Sure. Sorry, Elton, I didn't get the entirety of David's question there. I'm just going to go left over here. I think this is a road. This is how we go, everybody. We drive, we find a road, we go, where does that go? David, it's not surprising what I've found, some of the things. Lots of false marulas and corkwoods. I've been not surprised because the elephant activity in this area has been limited due to the fact that it was only recently opened to the Kruger. Found a plant called the saucerberry, which I've never seen before, and it's everywhere. So that is a very cool plant. I've enjoyed which I haven't discussed it yet though, but there's a lovely dolerite dike that runs through the middle of this property, and it gives a very nice geological formation, a beautiful area. I'd love to walk it. Now, the geology is something I'm very, very fond of, and unfortunately in Djuma we don't really have any exposed geological formations. As I just meander along what seems to be a road. Welcome to our exploration, everybody. It's kind of like what we've been doing. We just drive along. So pleasantly surprising is that we haven't got lost yet, but as I've told you all before, I don't get lost. I just get temporarily disorientated, and with a huge mountain over there and that golden orb we call the sun, which has been out and about every day except for this morning. It has been hot, and living in a tent, sweating. It's been an experience, David. I'm not going to lie. It's been a very good experience. It'll be a week on Wednesday. And it is nice to be back amongst students again. I know we put a lot of information out online for all of you viewers watching, but it's nice to be around students that can actually talk directly and you can give feedback directly. Like right now, I'm talking to however many of you are watching, and I can't see any faces. You know, so that's something I've gotten quite used to doing. But I used to work for Eco Training. I used to train. So we all have our communal meals together. It's really quite sweet because the students are all doing a 55-day level 1 currently, all part of the year course. And before they can eat, they have to identify a bird call. So they're going through a number of calls per week, and then they build that up until I think they've got 90 birds they need to know. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you just arrived from Germany or Canada or wherever you might have been, never been to South Africa before, now you need to learn 90 birds. It's tricky. So every meal they play bird calls, and the first one to get it right gets to eat first. It's not that they deprive them of eating, everybody. They all get to eat, But the ones who know the bird calls get to eat first, so nothing like a bit of motivation. And all the instructors, including myself, will just sit back and wait till the end, and then we eat. It was good. It's nice to be back in sort of a learning environment like that. Lots of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement. We assisted this morning with bringing some students home because one of the vehicles broke. So we had a few of them on the back here, and Johan was explaining left, right, this, plug in there. And they were very excited, and well, it's really nice to just be in a different environment. So everybody, I'm going to carry on. Not going to get lost, of course, and we're going to send you over to Yapi, who I'm sure he knows where he's going.
We've come down to a road that runs along the bank of the Timbavati, and actually it's quite a low down the road. In this section of the river, the bank is quite low down, and the road accesses that bank on a low level, which is really good because that's where the activity happens. I was talking about it earlier today with somebody, and I was saying that this is actually the longest that I've seen the Timbavati flow constantly, and it's been now almost 2 weeks, which is amazing. And that's why we're driving in this very dense area. It's like very, very long grass, and it's over here that after dark the creatures usually move, the leopard especially. Now, they have been quite elusive. It's been very, very tricky to spot them, and there's been at least 3 or 4 different sets of tracks of different animals going up and down in this area that everybody's been trying very, very hard to find. So what I'm hoping is, by driving really, really slowly, we might get lucky. And like with that hare, Gavin, we've got quite a few rare nocturnal animals here. Not this hare. This hare is quite a abundant animal in this particular area. It is a bit tricky. I have to put my lights off because otherwise he's going to keep staying ahead of the vehicle in the lights. But we have serval that we usually see early evening, and then of course aardvark, which only will come out a little bit later or long after dark. And now thankfully that hare's moved off. And then we also have the pangolin in this particular area, and then white-tailed mongoose, which is not that easy to spot. There's so many. Striped polecat. In this particular area, the small spotted genet, we don't see that often. The civet, I was thinking about it the other day. I haven't seen a civet in maybe a year and a half, and we know that they're here. You see the tracks everywhere during the daytime. They're going up and down on the roads, but you hardly ever see the animal itself. But in order to have a lot of luck after dark, it's often better to take those roads less traveled. And then, of course, certain snakes. Lion lover, I did not quite clearly get your question. Are there any hyena dens on Ngala? At the moment, not that we know of. Not that we know of at the moment. No hyena dens that, at least that we view. There's been hyena dens on Ngala that come and go. They get reused over many, many years. And I found that during the drought, like 2016, 17, even 2018, we had a lot more viewable hyena dens. And some truly spectacular ones as well, with massive clans, where currently we don't know of any. Actually, we do on occasions find a termite mound, and we find a female with two cubs there, and sometimes there might be more than one female with cubs there, but they usually don't last very long, like a week, maybe two, and then they move them, and then we don't know where they go. But then also on occasions we find small hyenas playing out in the open, and we know that there must be a den somewhere nearby, but there's so many potential den sites nearby that they constantly move and shift between, as some of them, the parasites build up inside, or as they become exposed to danger. There's a huge amount of abandoned and hollowed out termite mounds in the eastern part of the reserve especially. And some of them are really, really big. And we've seen some research that's been done in the past on Ngala, on hyenas, and there's one den in particular that I saw photos of being active, and the photos were taken in 1974. And 1975, which is crazy if you think about it. And talking to some of the guides and the trackers that's been here longer than I have, they have told me that that den site's been active for years, or ever since they can remember. And that's pretty spectacular. We're coming up to the Timbavati riverbed up ahead, and there's always a sense of excitement that creeps up in me once we get close to the riverbed, because you never know what you might find inside the riverbed or coming down into the river, especially now that it's dark and there's flowing water. Mess, what would prey on a pangolin? That's a good question. Well, any larger predator that is able to actually kill and devour a pangolin. On Ngala itself, I have seen lions play with pangolin, trying to get to open it after it was in its defensive form and rolled into a ball. It was not successful. And then also I've seen hyena with parts of a pangolin. And the hyenas, I don't know if they killed it. They might have just found a dead one and scavenged it, but they certainly had a part of a pangolin. So lion and hyena for sure. I'm sure a leopard would try at certain points. I'll never count the honey badger out. But yeah, it's a tough animal. It's very well protected. It actually moves surprisingly fast, and it moves quite secretively. Now, we've come onto the northern bank now. In this particular area, there's a big loop that the river makes here. So the riverine forest section in this particular part is quite dense, and therefore, if I have to look for leopard after an evening's drive, or hyena, this is usually one of the go-to roads that I'll try. Ooh. And then of course there's hares. Vernon, a pangolin, if I got your question correctly, you're asking if it's got the same textured shell as a leopard tortoise. No, it doesn't actually. It is a very hard keratin-like substance, like almost like rhino horn, and it's literally a shield that's formed around the, well, it grows in scales, as we call them, around the body of the pangolin, and that way protect them, and they kind of lay it on top of each other like that to try and protect each other. But where a leopard tortoise is, the outer layer is keratin, the shoots, and they actually protect what is essentially a modified spine that kind of envelops the whole, or the tortoise inners, and protects the tortoise from the outside. So no, it's not quite the same. I think it's harder actually, and tougher. Now what would be interesting to see, thinking about that, and thinking about love my guides. Is there more vegetation growing now that the Timbavati is flowing? Yes, definitely. The reeds in the riverbed itself have taken over completely. There is just so many at the moment. You can hardly, even if the river's dry, it's tricky to drive certain spots. And the reeds trap a lot of moisture at the base, so that means that often it forms pools nearby. That pools stay for a long time, which is good. I mean, it's water for animals to drink. It attracts a lot of wildlife, but it makes it tricky to drive. And of course, then the grass. There's literally grass everywhere now, all the way down the banks, right up until the edge of the flowing water in the riverbed itself. And that makes it really, really tricky to find game this time of the year on Ngala. This particular year, just because this is the most rain I've experienced here, and it's certainly been the trickiest to find certain animals. Of course, also during the summertime in the Lowveld and all the rain, that's when all the trees that drop their leaves in wintertime have them back. So it is very, very green flush. So there's lots of food larger mammals like the elephant, the buffalo. In fact, I haven't seen a lot of buffalo lately on Ngala, which is quite odd. I would expect them to be here. But then also, in the surrounding areas around Ngala, there's quite large clearings, quite large areas with sweet grass. And I do think that the large herds of buffalo are moving that side at the moment. And I think that that's also had a little bit of an effect on the way the lions in this particular area have been moving. Well, I think, so up ahead there's another dry riverbed coming on, and we haven't actually had much luck with small mammals tonight. And normally by now you would expect to see something like a mongoose. And I'm hoping up ahead we're getting to a bit of a crest, which might be good for us. I mean, there were some hares out in the road here and there, but the hares are always around. They actually come to the roads at night time because it's open. It's easier for them to see. And hares prefer shorter grass areas where they feed. Because one can imagine being the size of a hare and a tall grass like this, it will be quite dangerous. And lots of place to hide during the daytime, which is good, but at nighttime, and then of course these little dry riverbeds are, of course, very, very popular areas to move in for the secretive nocturnal animals. The leopard can move there unseen. If I am hearing this correctly, Melissa, your question is, why is it so quiet tonight? That is a very good question. Why are the frogs so quiet tonight? That's only because we haven't been... The frogs are quiet, I guess, because we haven't really been near any of the puddles with a lot of frog activity, I think. I don't know, actually. It's a really good question. Maybe it might be because of the wind that's picked up. But up ahead, there's a little bit of a puddle. And I think what I'll do is I'll stop there and maybe we can have a listen out. And here we can hear the frogs. But it's also a little bit cooler tonight, actually. Well, today in general was quite cool. It was actually nice after the few very, very hot and humid days that we've had. But it's it certainly had quite an effect on the animals' behavior. For the cats, it was great. That's There's no doubt about that. And I think also another reason why it might be so quiet is because we've been driving for such a long time, trying to cover a bit of ground and see if we might find anything moving. But what I'm going to do now, there's just behind this magic quarry here, there is a natural wallow, a mud wallow that we are going to stop at, and then we'll listen a little bit and see what we might be able to hear, or if we'll hear the frogs. I can hear some crickets going.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Our bodies are made up of about 60% water, which means that in a very short space of time, you can dehydrate completely. A relatively efficient way of collecting water early in the morning is to take an absorbent material like a sock and to walk through the grass, absorbing the condensed dewdrops on the grass. Once the material is saturated, you can then squeeze it out into a container, or you can suck it out directly into your mouth.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at WildEarth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
What makes andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve so special is our massive array of habitats. And with that comes, of course, a beautiful diversity of landscapes, but also an incredible biodiversity in terms of plants, bird life and animal life, as well as, of course, our conservation success stories with cheetah, with rhinos, now with pangolins too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Actually, so I thought I saw something interesting in the road now, but clearly not, unfortunately. What I thought I saw was a large predatory catitid, which is actually an amazing little thing to see. It's a very odd looking thing. I've only recently seen it for the first time. That's one of the most amazing things about this season, the rain season, especially this one, is there's been so beaches.